Hi, welcome back. So in video number 4, I talked about cost of capital and return on invested capital. And I discussed how can a company have a higher return on invested capital than the cost of capital? And the answer was competitive advantage. So I thought, why don't I use an analogy to explain this? I love analogies because it allows you to understand the situation and that you can juxtapose in your own case. Let's go back to November 16, 1532. On that day, the Inca Emperor Atahualpa, if I'm pronouncing him right, was defeated by the Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizzaro. Francisco was representing King Charles I of Spain. Atahualpa was the king of Inca. Inca that was considered the largest empire in pre-Columbian America. Francisco had an army of just 168 people, around 61 on horses and rest on foot. Whereas Inca had an army 500 times greater than that, or even more. So how did Francisco defeated Atahualpa? The first advantage Francisco possessed was a military advancement. Spanish army used steel swords, guns, horses, whereas Inca army used wooden clubs, maces, bronze, and no horses. Second was writing. When you write, the message is transmitted very succinctly and clearly. At that point of time, Inca Empire, very few elites had an advantage of writing. So they were not able to transmit messages very clearly. So one of the example given was one of the spy of Atahualpa tried to understand the situation one night before, and through word of mouth just gave a message to Atahualpa that everything is all right. Third, Atahualpa had absolutely no idea about the military power of Spain. So just 600 miles away from Inca Empire, Spain was making inroads in Panama right from 1510, if I correctly remember. So if you conclude, these were the competitive advantages of Francisco that allowed him to defeat Atahualpa. With just a small army of 168 people versus more than 8,000 or 10,000 people. Now, if you juxtapose or use this analogy, how can biotech companies can have higher return on invested capital than the cost of capital? So in terms of competitive advantage, you need to be targeting a very high unmet need that nobody has been able to do yet. Or maybe the patients are not responding and your drug helps that patient to respond, right? Or you have a superior technology or many other things. And another important point is capital efficiency, which is with very small amount of money, how can you maximize the return? That's return on invested capital. The only difference is that in the former case, there was a lot of massacre, a lot of lives were lost in the analogy I gave. In this case, biotech companies are going to save several lives, right? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.